What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Andy here with you on a Thursday. We got a full slate of NHL games, which means we got a full slate of NHL sniffs. I honestly feel like when you start these videos, sometimes you're like, I feel like you think you're getting James McAvoy in Split, where he had like 29 different personalities. Like, who we getting today? We getting 90s wrestler Andy? We getting thespian Andy? We getting high school New York Andy? What Andy are we getting? I feel like we're getting a relatively normal Andy today, but then again, that doesn't really exist, because if I was relatively normal, you know who I'd be? You, watching someone who's not relatively normal, aka me, so let me get back to being just that. And give you some of these Thursday bets, but I guess first you want to know about Wednesday. If a casual looked at the scoreboard and said, not really good, now I disagree. For those of you who don't care about hockey, don't watch hockey, don't play hockey, you just come here for scores and on some sort of scorecard where you're just chalking things up and down, then yeah, you're probably not happy, but then I don't really care about people like you. But the hockey watchers out there, the hockey players out there, the knowledgeable hockey folk, you saw how those games went down. Winnipeg Islanders clear under. Adding under 7.5 to two teams like that in the final third of the year is like a free juice from the websites, honestly, at this point. But if you go to that analytics site, moneypuck.com, where it's got that winometer, like something you'd see on Wheel of Fortune, they had 60% on Winnipeg. They controlled the game. If you played that out 10 times, Winnipeg would win 6. We were on the wrong side of the result. But don't worry, just consider that a down payment, because they play again this weekend, and I can assure you the Islanders won't be taking that one. And then as far as the Calgary game, they proved why you should sometimes take a team after a bad loss. You got that with Toronto after the Chicago loss. That worked for us this week. Now we got it with Calgary. We got the over on that game. That one worked well. If there was something I was upset about, is that as I chiseled us out of the mine. What were we at with the start? The Stars were like a minus 280, lost 4 in a row, really needed a win at home against Chicago, who just played last night. And I'm like, how can I get us? I did the Chiselers same game parlay. I said, all right, Dallas first period, plus 1/2. Just don't be trailing. Got it. Over a half of a goal for Dallas, or for any team, first period. Got it. So we got through those two just to take some off that line. We got the over 4.5. We had a 3-0 Dallas lead, and Dallas loses? I'm only upset because of all that chiseling I did. And then they score at the very end, and it gets overturned because it didn't go in. That one was tough to see, but not really, because I didn't really bet on that game. Why? Because it was a 3-game night, and you shouldn't be, after you have a massive night, don't give them a chance to take it back right away by forcing things on a 3-game slate. Wait till you got a bigger slate like we got tonight. And what we also got tonight is that fantastic DraftKings Sportsbook promotion. You bet $5 on any one of these games. Massive favorite. If your team wins on the money line, DraftKings Sportsbook will credit you with $150 in free bet credits as long as you're a new user on the platform, over 21, and in a state where sports betting is permitted. And if you got a problem, you had a great Tuesday, and then you just put all your winnings on the line on Wednesday, and now you've already deposited more, you might have a problem. And if you do, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Somebody will be there to help you with those. So here on this Thursday, Detroit we picked the other night, right? Took them as a road underdog. We liked what we got there. They've won a bunch of games recently. They're going home. They're playing the Rangers. You want to hear this is a bizarre stat, okay? The New York Rangers have won their last 9, or covered their last 9 road puck lines. Now, yes, some of those are plus 1.5s in games where they're underdogs, but they're not underdogs in many games. They've covered 9 straight puck lines. I was going to say I like the Rangers in this game just because the Rangers are just a bad matchup for Detroit. And I believe the last time they played them in Detroit, they absolutely boat raced them. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be that because of how Detroit's been playing. But I do like the Rangers to win this one. The Rangers, they lost that game against Winnipeg. It's always contingent on Shesterkin starting. The level of confidence and the line will depend on Shesterkin. I would imagine that he's going to play in this one. I think he wants to play after that loss against Winnipeg. But if he doesn't play, I even like this with Shesterkin, the over 6, and this is backed by the Bunker Area 51 folk over at Odds Shopper. All their percentages say it's a good return on investment, good sniff, and I back that sniff because I think these two teams have good chemistry to hit an over. And you know I'm not big on taking overs, especially at this point of the year, especially when I just said adding under 7.5 to all games is like a free juice. So you really need that right chemistry for me to like an over. But I kind of do in this one. Along with Adam Fox registering a point. I know he murdered them last time, or if it was not last time, the time before that. But I do like the Rangers in this one. And God, am I tempted to take that puck line after them covering 9 straight. But don't forget, they got those 2 lines up front now. The power play, I mean, they're a good team right now. I know Detroit's mustering results. If you watch that Washington game, it wasn't all that impressive. So I do think they're still able to be beaten, and they're not as good as their last 10 might suggest that they are. So I will take the Rangers and the over in that one. Then we're going to go to my... That's kind of odd shoppers. They seem to really like the Rangers and like the over in that one. Why am I going to... I'm not going to cheat on my girlfriend. I'm not going to do it here and in front of you. You saw what my girlfriend did for you on Tuesday? The Minnesota Wild, we saw I'm going to Old Reliable. Well, I'm going to Old Reliable once again because she always answers your call. She don't ghost you. She doesn't do that thing where she answers you 24 hours later and you say, oh, you want to get dinner tonight? She responds 24 hours later and she goes, yeah, sure. But you're like, that was to last night. You don't want one of those people. You want the Minnesota Wild. They answer you. They play hard defense. They cash your unders and they cash your money lines. And I'm looking for an assortment of those tonight as well. I want the Minnesota Wild. The line isn't that... They're playing the Jackets. Okay, one of the worst teams in the league. And I'm pretty sure they're still not going to have Johnny Gaudreau. Minnesota had a great home stretch. And the beautiful thing about defense, and this rolls over to playoffs and you name it, is it travels. They say that about the NFL too. But defensive chemistry, it rolls over from game to game. But who are they shutting down over there? And you don't want to be arrogant because that means, it might be a 5-2 Minnesota win. But just in line with their inability to score multiple goals in the recent stretch of games, along with their unbelievably stellar defense and consistent defense, I'm not going away from something that I believe is we're in a beautiful groove of it, and that's Minnesota and unders. I'm tempted to take that first period under 1.5 once again, but I don't think I'm going to because I think there's a chance Minnesota can actually score a few in this one. Columbus they're probably going to have trouble scoring. So I'm going to take Minnesota and the under. If you combine the two, it gives you solid plus money. And then if you actually bump it up, don't you know, bump it up. I've been doing this in the second half of the season. Show me some low-scoring teams. Show me an over-under around 6. I'll bump it up, but I'll look at another one and bump it up as well. All right, let me look around. Who do we got? Anyone a candidate to give a half a goal to who I don't believe? Oh, yes, the Washington Capitals. Remember them the other night? They cashed that nice under rather easily. So easily, in fact, that there was an immediate 3 goals and basically 1 goal the rest of the game. However, I will have you know, I got good news and bad news. The good news, they're playing the Ducks, one of our classic unders, like the greatest hits unders group. The bad news for an over-under is that Alex Ovechkin is coming back. But the thing that's good about that is that it allows us to add them to a potential money line parlay. So let's start that double under 6.5. We had the under 6.5 with Minnesota and Columbus, and now we're going to combine that with the under 6.5 in Washington and Anaheim. And I think Washington's going to get that emotional Ovechkin returning from Russia after his father's funeral. I think the team is going to be galvanized around him. Shouldn't have to be galvanized when you're in a playoff race playing against Anaheim. So they should get a win. And if Minnesota wins, you take those 2 wins together, that's going to get you a plus money. That's not too bad, is it? I don't think so, if you ask me. But you know what? Those right there, those are the picks that I gave you. And you guys come here for... I got a sniff. It's a team you definitely don't want to trust. Hubba, 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 money, money, money. Who do you trust? Did you trust Calgary last night? Did you? Because if you didn't trust them against Arizona, then I'm sure you're going to have a much tougher time, like me, trusting them against the Vegas Golden Knights. I am taking the Calgary Flames to upset the Vegas Golden Knights on the road. And when I give you sniffs, there's a reason it's called a sniff. You're not getting a long explanation. But I'm going to be sniffing that one. And if you want some additional potential sniffs, these are just like these ones caught one of mine. One caught my left nostril, one caught my right nostril. That Calgary one caught both nostrils. But I do think my left nostril thinks that Pittsburgh's going to beat Edmonton at home. And my right nostril thinks that after that embarrassing loss and a prime game that everybody had their eyes on them, that Buffalo's going to cover that puck line at +1.5. I don't know if they're going to win, but that's an embarrassing loss. I told you they're garbage for a couple weeks now. I was ahead of the curve. I think everyone's back on the curve after that kind of loss. But that was a bad one. And teams with speed, I shouldn't explain a nostril call, but teams with speed tend to give Tampa trouble. It's happened for like the last year and a half because Tampa's one of the older teams. So that's a right nostril sniff. The Pens were a left nostril sniff. The Flames were a double nostril sniff. And those are the picks that I got for you here on this Thursday. Good luck to all of you. Better luck to me. I hope you guys know when I go back and forth with you, I'm an old school poker. My friends haven't said a kind word about me my whole life. So that's how we do things here. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Remember that music video? Was that Christopher Walken? All right, everyone, take it easy. Subscribe to the Odd Shopper channel. Follow me on social media. I have to keep telling you because no, I'm not even at 7,000 yet. From the whole time I've been asking you for months. I started in the 6,000s. I'm still not at 7,000, and these videos have 7,000 views. I'll go ahead, tell them, oh, I don't have an Instagram. Oh, God forbid I click create account. God forbid I tell my son. My son? Who's your son? All right, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.